It happened. I was beat by an AI agent. And honestly, I was a little relieved, but also scared. And it taught me something about using digital labor in recruiting that I want to share with you on today's episode. Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of Salesforce for Recruiters. I'm your host, Brad Owens, and I was just like you. I spent well over a decade in recruiting using various pieces of technology that never really fit what I wish they could do for my business. And then I saw Salesforce, and I went, where has this been all my life? And since then, I've dedicated my career to helping others have the same realization that I had about what Salesforce can truly do to transform this recruiting industry. And on today's episode, I want to walk you through a personal story of myself working at Asymbl, how we employ digital labor in our recruiting practice, and how it beat me at my own game. Before we dig into the lessons that we learned, I need to set the stage for you on what truly happened. So at Asymbl, we are hiring like crazy. We're going through a wild growth spurt. I appreciate all of the love from everyone here on YouTube as well. We hired about 100 people in about 100 days. It was a wild, wild trip for all of their recruiters, and they wouldn't be able to do that without AI. We have AI agents in our Salesforce instance ourselves using our own product that helped us make all of this hiring possible. And we also are employing those AI agents in our sales process as well. So something that I do as part of our sales process is I am actually reaching out to individuals to get them interested in the Asymbl product, having us help them maybe market things, a lot of different things that I do. But as a part of that, we track all of the activity that we're doing. And just this past week, our CEO raised the point of, hey, Brad, you were just beaten by the bot. I went, wait, what? And in a single week after turning on our AI agent that reached out to new leads for prospecting purposes, I was beaten. It had more activity than me in a week than I did in the entire month. I went, uh-oh, that maybe not uh-oh, but oh, good. I didn't really know how to feel about it, but I know that I had a tremendous amount of feelings over being beaten by an AI agent. So what I want to dig into today is over our journey of developing these AI agents, deploying these AI agents, and now living with them. I want to walk you through some of the key lessons that we came away with and how you can learn from that on your journey in implementing AI agents inside Salesforce. At Asymbl, we were a part of AgentForce before most out there in the partner network. We were a part of the launch event. We were a part of helping them experiment with this AgentForce platform. And because of that, we had a little bit longer than others to think about how we were going to use this technology ourselves. And one of the early things that we realized is the role identification for what we actually want this agent to do autonomously is going to be really important. And we thought, since this is early days of using this technology, let's identify some low-risk use cases to allow an autonomous agent to take over a business process. And we landed on two different business processes. We landed on internal hiring for our own business, and then outbound, what they call sales development rep work. So outbound prospecting into people that are completely cold leads, we allowed an agent to actually handle that outreach. And that's where it actually ended up beating me in a week when I had been working at the same sort of activities for a month. So we identified, at least for us, that these low impact areas were great for us to start with because they're low risk. If something goes wrong, we're talking to an internal individual or someone that's not even a customer of ours yet. So it might be beneficial to really pay attention to the roles that you're choosing to automate or make autonomous very early on in your process. After we decided what roles we wanted our AI agent to actually go after, we realized that there was a mind shift that needed to happen for us as a business. And I really feel like this is what took us from this being an experiment to truly seeing this as part of our business. And that mindset came to how we were quantifying the cost associated to this technology. Now, what we see most companies out there doing, and how we started, to be honest, was in the line item of the budget related to technology spend. This was a technology cost. It's just something we were using to do our business. But we realized that, you know what, that's not really true. How we're actually using this is labor. This should be its complete own line item in the budget. It doesn't have associated costs like healthcare or taxes or anything like that, but it does have its own spend that's reliant on technology, but isn't actually technology itself. It's a digital employee. So we actually created a line item in our budget for digital labor, and that's how we're tracking it. So we can truly see the ROI that this digital labor is having on our business. And we suggest that's how you focus on these things too, because not only is it a different way to approach your budget, it's also a mindset shift. Once you start thinking about this as truly a labor force, it changes how you think about things. And one of those things that it helped us to realize is that these aren't just employees that are going out on their own to do their own work. This isn't just a recruiter that's going out there scheduling things. This isn't just a sales development rep that's going out there and bringing in leads. These digital agents have coworkers. And in our business at Asymbl, we have a sales development rep, and we also have an agent that's a sales development rep. And those two aren't working independently of each other. They're working with each other. And early on, we had to make sure we were defining, hey, where does the digital agent, the AgentForce agent, stop? And where does our actual human business development rep start? How do they work with those handoffs? Who sends what to whom? And how do they work together? That wasn't something that we put a ton of thought into as we were just developing the technology. But as we were starting to deploy it, we realized, oh, wait, this could be an opportunity for them to work together rather than working against each other and actually competing. It wasn't competing. It was more using the tool to provide our human BDR with those types of leads and things that they needed to help drive our business forward. So it wasn't so much a head-to-head competition. It was more of how do we make sure that they're working together and doing so in an efficient way, because we came up against a bunch of roadblocks where we realized, oh, we should probably remove these kinds of barriers. Or maybe even in this case, there was a software license that they didn't have that they needed to be able to work well together. So there's a lot of things you're going to learn by inputting these sorts of technologies, these agents, into your workforce. We also realized as part of this that it wasn't just working together, it was the leader of those agents that needed to change. We realized that when we turned this employee on day one, that our sales leader had a completely new employee. Someone that had been trained, they'd gone through onboarding because we trained this agent in our internal systems. So they had a new employee that wasn't truly green, but that was still going to make mistakes. So this agent was now an employee of our sales leader, and that sales leader had to correct that digital agent. They had to log into Salesforce, make corrections to understand what this individual, this agent was doing in the sales process, understand what needed to be tweaked, and then know who to go to make those tweaks. Because this agent inside of our environment had the metrics that they needed to live up to. They had goals that they needed to hit. They had the ability to be autonomous, but because of that, they were going to make mistakes. And this leader hadn't really paid attention to, oh, this is a completely new employee that I'm going to have to spend time during my week to manage. Digital agents and AgentForce agents inside of Salesforce are something you have to pay attention to. Do you have a leader identified in your business as the person that's going to take that responsibility on? And then finally, once we had worked through the technology of training this thing, of understanding the job role, to who they're going to work beside and how they're going to work with that person and who they're going to report to and how that person is going to manage them, what we didn't realize was the impact that this was going to have on our culture and specifically on me. I got beat by the AI agent in its first week of work. That was a shock to me. And the next 10 minutes after figuring out that, whoa, this thing beat me in a week, and I had been working for a month on this same project, we're going to have to pay attention to our employees and how they feel about these digital agents in our environment, taking on the same job roles that these others had been doing. Now, I like to feel like after a decade plus of doing this, that I'm pretty good at my job, that I know some of the nuances. But when it comes down to just purely executing, an agent crushed me. An agent absolutely crushed me. So I had to reevaluate, okay, so then what's my value? How am I going to add value now that just purely executing is off my plate, how can I be much more strategic about how we're going to do these things and who we need to go after? And how do I point this amazing technology at the things that it's going to be tremendous at? And then myself, how am I going to then not only point that thing in the right direction and manage it correctly, but manage my own expectations about what I need to be doing with my time? That I think we're on the very, very beginning leading edge of everyone needing to be able to do. You're going to have to look at your work and start figuring out what of this is purely just execution and what of this is more strategic. And you might want to start paying attention to more of the strategic side, because it took me by surprise how quickly this is able to make an impact on my role at this organization. I tell you all this not to scare you, not to make you think that you're going to be obsolete, because you're not. These are things that are going to work beside you. They're going to work for you. They're not going to completely replace your employees in the near term. We're talking about these agents inside of Salesforce living beside your employees. They're helping you accomplish more in your business. That's not something that all of us should be scared about. That's something we should be excited about. It's going to help our business level up and do things that we never thought possible in the amount of time that I, for one, didn't think was possible, but it proved that it can beat me in a week. And that was shocking. So I tell you all that to help you understand how you should be framing digital labor in your business and how AgentForce can actually impact you and your recruiting firm. And I hope that's incredibly valuable for you. If you like this kind of content, there's plenty more. If you search for salesforceforrecruiters.com, you will come up with this and plenty of other content to help you start rolling out not only AgentForce, but Salesforce at your recruiting organization, whether it's external or internal. And I want to offer you up a special little treat since you made it this far in the episode. If you email me to hello@bradowens.com, I'm happy to answer your question directly on an upcoming episode. So again, email me hello@bradowens.com with your questions about using Salesforce for recruiting, and I'm happy to answer those. Until next time, I want to say thank you so much for making this deep in the episode, and I hope this helped you understand how Salesforce can make an impact on your recruiting. Until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.